Welcome to Silver Elephant's presentation to discuss the latest Minago Nickel Project acquisition. My name is John Lee. I'm the chairman and founder of Silver Elephant. The company is listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange under ELEF, under the OTCQX under SILEF. 180 million shares outstanding, 217 million shares fully diluted, about $80 million market cap today. The company is structured into three verticals. The Elephant Mining Corp, Canada, has all the Bolivian assets. The Flying Nickel Mining Corp, Canada, has the Minago asset, or soon to have. And the Nevada Vanadium Mining Corp has all companies' vanadium assets in Nevada. A bit about Minago's history: over $35 million spent, 68,000 meters of drilling. In 2009, Victor Nickel published a feasibility study. And in 2011, environmental license was granted for 10,000 ton per day mining operation at Minago in Manitoba. With that, I'd like to hand the control over to Daniel Osterman, the Vice President of Exploration, also the Vice President of Canadian Operation, to talk about the potential of Minago and why he likes it. Take it away, Dan.
Thank you, John. Very quickly about myself, I'm the QP for Silver Elephant. I have over 20 years of mining experience, principally in exploration. I started my career at Falconbridge and moved on to Ingo and Thompson, Manitoba, where I was on the Thompson Nickel Belt technical exploration team, and where I helped to drill the T3 deep mine near the main Thompson ore body. And I've worked in nickel camps all throughout Canada, not only in Thompson, but in Sudbury, Lynn Lake, and eventually at the Wellgreen Nickel Platinum Palladium deposit and nickel deposit in Yukon. So this project actually represents somewhat of a homecoming, given my familiarity with the Thompson Nickel Belt. The project, Minago Project, is located in Manitoba, Canada, 225 kilometers southwest of Thompson in Thompson, Manitoba, and is made up of 94 mining claims and 2 leases that cover 197 square kilometer land package. It lies within the geological domain of the Thompson Nickel Belt, which has over 5 billion pounds of historical production and makes it the 5th largest nickel camp in the world. The project is transected by Provincial Highway 6 as well as by a 230 kilovolt power line, meaning the project has very excellent access to development infrastructure. The previous operation on the project advanced the Minago to a feasibility level stage in 2009. And the mineral resource estimate from the study reports a historic measured and indicated resource of 54 million tons, grading 0.52% nickel, and an additional inferred resource of 14.5 million tons of 0.53% nickel.
Some of the highlights.
Yes, they're actually, just to take a note of this section here, you see that Minago actually is made up of significant widths. You're looking at, for example, 92.3 meters of 0.18% nickel and 191.7 meters of 0.51% nickel. Now here's why I think Minago can reach 1 billion pounds of nickel. On this plan map, you see the nose deposit, which between all historic categories comprises 760 million pounds of nickel. Now, if you look north of the nose deposit, you see a prospect known as the North Limb, which has seen over 6,000 meters of drilling, and which consultants in 2011 used to assess the potential of this target to contain up to 442 million pounds of nickel. Now, approximately 33 kilometers south of the nose deposit is an area known as the South Zone, which was assessed in the 1990s by Strathcona, who estimated contained potential of 83 million pounds of nickel. So the exploration of these prospects could very well allow us to achieve that 1 million pound mark. And these estimates are actually backed solidly by drilling. Now, you look at the nose deposit, has a reported grade of 0.52% nickel. Starting with the North Limb, which has seen most of the exploration to date, one can see that the grades here are well aligned with the nose deposit over significant widths. For example, you have 133.9 meters with 0.5% nickel. You also have 120.5 meters of 0.52% nickel. The other prospects shown here have numerous drill intercepts that carry Minago style grade and mineralization. So these are proven drill targets that merit strong potential for the project.
Dan, any of these drill results are within the existing resource estimate?
Not at all. These are all outside, and all of the resource estimate and all this drilling is outside of that 68,000 meters that we mentioned earlier.
Conceivable then with these results, integrating these results to come out with a substantially larger resource estimate in the near term.
Correct. And here's another reason actually why we think the potential for the project is excellent. It has all the characteristics of the Thompson nickel belt style nickel sulfide deposit. So what you're looking here on the left is an oblique 3D representation, what's called the Thompson Dome, and that hosts the T1 and T3 mines, which are collectively have mined over 3 billion pounds of nickel over its life. What should be noted is deposits occur within a geological fold system, where the rocks have been folded due to regional stresses. At Thompson, this resulted in remobilization of pre-existing sulfide deposits into these areas of low stress. The T1 deposit occurs on the nose of a fold, as seen here, and the T3 occurs on the arm or the limb of the very same fold, all within a 3.5 kilometer trend. So Minago exhibits exact same style of structural control of nickel sulfides. Nose deposit occurs aptly on the nose of a fold, and within 2 kilometers we have the north limb, and along that fold, much along a fold limb, which is very much like the T3. And if you look at the mag expression on the right, the mag expression actually confirms the outline of this fold. So Minago is essentially a perfect analog to the Thompson model.
So the fold is the green dotted line?
The green dotted line marks the trace of the fold, yes.
Got it, understood. So I can see that it is analogous.
Now, we also believe that Minago has exemplary metallurgy. So 5 metallurgical holes were drilled in 2008, and these were sent in to SDS Lakefield, and they did a number of flotation tests on these met samples. Minago achieved excellent recoveries of 77%, and they produced a nickel concentrate of 22% with a head feed grade of 0.43%. We feel this differentiates us from many of our peers out there, as these are really excellent results.
Mm-hmm.
And this slide explains a little bit of why the metallurgy of Minago is so strong. There are some examples of Thompson nickel sulfide mineralization to the right. The nickel in these sulfides is predominantly found in the mineral called pentlandite, which is a nickel sulfide mineral. And to the right, you see 2 reflective thin sections under a microscope, and that this is mineralogical work that's been done on the deposit. And what you see here is that the predominant nickel sulfide minerals are violarite and millerite, which have much higher nickel to sulfide ratios as minerals themselves. And both of these mineral species are prevalent at Minago. And this really gives a project high nickel tenors that are actually comparable with world-class deposits.
Got it. Maybe it's a little mixed up a bit. So the Thompson typical nickel is in sulfides, whereas Minago has got contents of villarite and millerite, which then enhances the recovery and the concentrate grade?
Correct. Well, they're all in sulfides. Millerite, for example, is 50% nickel and 50% sulfide. So therefore, you have higher content of nickel in those minerals compared to pentlandite.
Understood.
Well, that basically concludes the technical overview of the Minago deposit. John, I'll give it back to you.
Well, thank you, Dan, for that overview. It's certainly very information. It contains a lot of information. Well, currently the market, the capital market assigns anywhere from $50 million to $200 million market cap valuation for nickel deposits of about 1 billion pounds. And the objective of Silver Elephant is to expand the Minago resource, currently at 620 measured indicated historic and another 440 inferred, to over 1 billion pounds. And we believe the Minago could prove to be superior because it's higher grade and also higher recovery. The plans are to upgrade the resource estimate to current for both nodes, and then aggressively explore the regional targets such as North Limb, South Target, the O Limb, as well as the West Nodes region. And then subsequently, we're looking to update the feasibility study and the EIS, begin discussions with strategic investors, and potentially bring a future off-takers and spin-off. I want to spend just a couple of minutes talk about nickel and the energy metal and the EV space. Over 20 countries has declared the intention to ban internal combustion engine by 2040. And these include some of the world's largest economies from UK, Germany, Japan, China, India, and France. Ken Huffman, which is a renowned analyst nickel at McKinsey Research, published a report forecasting adoption up to 30% EV by 2030. And that would amount to 30 million electric vehicles that requires 2 billion pounds of class 1 nickel. As demonstrated here, on the left is the mine supply, on the right is the demand. And the current mine supply is approximately 2.5 million tons, is around just over 5 billion pounds. And approximately half is from class 1 nickel sulphide, and the other is class 2 from nickel laterite deposits. The nickel production, you can also see from nickel sulfide deposits, has been in decline due to rarity. And currently the market is roughly balanced, and you see on the right-hand side is the demand for nickel. Of that, roughly 10% is class 1 nickel for batteries, and the number is going to grow to upwards of 40% by 2030. Represent in the orange a deficit of 1 million tons of nickel, and that's upwards of 2 billion pounds of nickel, and structural deficit would occur as early as 2025. Well, what do consumers want? They want longer range, they want high intensity, that means torque, and they want faster recharge. So all those three necessitates higher nickel content. The cathode standards for lithium batteries has gone from NMC 11 to NMC 622 to now NMC, which is nickel, manganese, and cobalt. 811, that's 80% nickel, 10% manganese, and 10% cobalt. And that trend is going to stay to sustain the long-range, high-intensity, and fast recharge features till about 2030, when the advent of solid-state batteries set in. So nickel could enjoy a good decade of very good fundamentals. A lot of fundamental discussion, and technically nickel also just break out as multi-year consolidation, trading at the near 10-year high of $8.22 a pound. Well, the bottom line, each electric vehicle that you see on the street requires 30 kilos of nickel, and that's about 66 pounds. At a conservative end, and not on the aggressive, on the conservative end of 20 million EVs require over 1.2 billion pounds of nickel by 2030, or even outside of 2025. Well, global nickel supply currently is 5 billion pounds, of which class 1 is only 2.5 billion pounds. Where would the extra billion pounds of class 1 nickel supply come from in the near term? Well, that is Silver Elephant's value proposition to fulfill the insatiable and eruptive class 1 nickel demand for EVs by expanding nickel sulfide resource at Minago to district scale and eventually bring the Minago project to production with industry partners. The company is traded again on the TSX under ELEF. OTCQ is under SILEF. Very good trading liquidity, over $1 million to $2 million a day. Website silverelef.com. We're also on YouTube and active in LinkedIn. Twitter us. And this concludes the presentation. Appreciate everybody's time today, and hope to see you again and catch up soon.